Hi, and welcome to this edition of Garden Guns. This is a continuation in my series about stretching that money in your pocket, making that bit of cash go a little bit further. The bonuses of purchasing a second-hand air rifle as opposed to maybe paying full whack for a brand new one. First part in the series was regarding my BSA Ultra, and the second part, is about my BSA R10, Mark 1 R10, keeping in the tradition of BSAs. This R10 I got from Leicestershire Air Guns. I picked it up for about 475 quid. It's an early model Mark 1 R10. It had the original regulator in it, and I believe the R10 had, or has still actually to this day, I think, if you speak to some people, some questions over its reliability, and I believe that all stemmed from these early model Mark 1s and the regulator that BSA put in them. I understand they weren't the most reliable, which is why if you find a Mark 1, either make sure you get it at a very good price so that you can cost in adding or putting a new reg in, or like the one I've got, I managed to get this one. When I bought it, it had already had the reg work done on it by a chap called Phil Crampton down at Ratworks in New Bolverden, a guy that I've talked about in my last video, and I will mention time and time again, I should think, because he's done most of the work on my rifles. Anyway, Phil had already put a reg in on this when I got it, so for $475 that included the change in reg. Then I had to adjust the cocking mechanism, basically the magazine mechanism in it. This still had the old Mark 1 mag in it, so it was a self-indexing, sorry, it wasn't, it was it indexed on the cocking stroke, so basically as part of the mechanism to cock the rifle, it also indexed the magazine. Whereas on the new magazines, they actually index on the pellet. If there is a pellet in the chamber, the magazine will hold on that pellet, and when the pellet goes, it will click around to the next chamber, thereby putting in line the next pellet for the next shot. It's a really good, to be honest, the current BSA mags are simple and they work brilliantly. This is exactly what you want. Less things to go wrong if it's simple. So I had to do an adjustment to the action on this to basically dial out by making some adjustments inside the internals, and there are videos out on YouTube to be able to help with that, to be able to dial out the indexing on that so that it could use the new mags, and it works perfectly. So once I've done that, I had about 6 months worth of reasonably good shooting with this. This rifle was okay. It was good enough for what I wanted it for, and that was for ratting with a night vision scope. I've got a little parted monocular, which I'll give a little talk about later, which is why I've got a collar on the back of this scope, and I got it for ratting at night. Basically, I would have used the Ultra, but single shot loading the Ultra in October with cold fingers at night, trying to get the pellets around the right way, it was a nightmare. So even though I love my Ultra for work at night, it wasn't the most practical, which is why I decided to try and get hold of this. And as I said, I think for $475 with the reg done on it, I was very happy. I thought that was a great price, so I was more than happy to pay for that. So I bought this. It was pretty good. It was okay. It grouped all right with, as it was, out to sort of 30 yards. It was good enough for what I wanted it for. But I was just a little bit, I was a little bit disappointed. I thought it would be slightly better. It didn't shoot as well as my Ultra did. My Ultra, had this in terms of accuracy. And one of the other issues I had was the shroud wasn't, it didn't massively quieten the report. There was a little bit of deadening on it. If anybody's used the original SAS silencer that came with the Ultra, I mean, it took the edge off the report, but it wasn't very good. So, you know, like me, I added a wire arc, which added a lot of length, but the Ultra's fairly small anyway, so it could handle it. Added a lot of length, but it really killed the sound, moderated that sound right down. So I stuck a silencer on the end of this, and because the barrel's threaded at the end, and yeah, it was terrible. I couldn't get it to group at all. 10 yards, it was just spraying pellets everywhere. So I thought, right, okay. I gave Phil a call and said, look, I've got this rifle that you've done the reg on it. Can I send it in to you for a service, a tune, and can you have a look and see why maybe it's not grouping very well? And Phil suggested that probably the best thing to do in terms of silencing or moderating the rifle was for him to rebuild the shroud for me, and redo the internals, and add a stripper, which is what he did, and I will show you that. So basically, I don't know what magic he did to what he added in terms of baffling, but there is a spring in the front of this. I'm not going to take the internals out of the actual shroud, but there's I think he's put extra baffling in there and added a spring. I'm not sure how these things work. I'm not a guru in any sense when it comes to the art of silencing a rifle. But this is what this little thing here is a Ratwork stripper. I believe it's adjustable, so the little brass insert can move in and out, so you can adjust how much of the air you strip away from behind the pellet. And as far as I understand it, the idea behind the stripper is that it removes the turbulent air that's directly behind the pellet, thereby hopefully having a smoother airflow to help push that pellet that last little bit, so you have a more stable, or you maintain more stability within the pellet as it leaves the barrel, hopefully keeping that stability further down range. As far as I understand, that's what I think. At least that's my understanding of how a stripper works. If I'm wrong, mention it in the copy and the comments below. Please correct me. But I had a BSA Gold Star HFT PCP, and that had a stripper on it. And you know, I just thought, you know, really, how effective can these things be? How much difference can these things make? And the Gold Star, the difference between my son's S200 and my Gold Star with the stripper, and the difference between the Gold Star when I had a wire arc silencer on it and the Gold Star with the stripper was, you know, massive. The amount of windage I had to take with the silencer on the Gold Star, you know, we were talking a good dot at sort of 40 yards, a good mil dot at 40 yards extra. You know, it just didn't seem to be affected by the wind as much when I had the stripper on it. And the same with, you know, you compare it with the S200 with and without the stripper. You know, you're taking a lot more windage with the S200 than I ever had to take with the Gold Star when the stripper was fitted. So I don't know what magic it does. I don't know exactly, you know, how much the difference it made in terms of, you know, the science behind it, but in terms of the real world results, it definitely seemed to make a difference, and I was sold. So having this fitted as well, it seemed to make all the difference. One of the other issues I had with this when I bought it, when Phil took this shroud off initially and we had a look inside, the crowning on the end of this barrel was a bit ropey. It wasn't BSA's best job. So Phil recrowned the barrel for me, and yeah, it's done an excellent job. It's actually a beautiful piece of work. And the other thing I was really surprised about was how small this barrel was. I reckon it's probably about the same size as my Ultras. So if it was from the same production run, or, you know, the same era as the Ultra, I mean, the barrel on my Ultra is superb. and to be honest, with the stripper recrowned and with the stripper fitted, I mean this thing is I'm really happy with the performance on this. I'll show you the card in a minute after I've just added the video for the groupings that I shot, or the group that I shot. Now this is always interesting, trying to get this back on. Give it a push. There we go. Trying to fight that spring. Yeah, I'll show you the video in a minute with the grouping that I shot with JSB Hades to show you basically what this is doing at 40 yards. But anyway, so I had the shroud done, recrowned the end of the barrel, Phil put the stripper on there, and then he gave it a full Ratworks tune. And now this thing is doing about 11.8 foot-pounds with the JSB Hades, and they're 15.89. So this is, you know, you wouldn't want it to be any higher than that. Well, I wouldn't want it to be any higher than that. I'd be frightened about it going over. But this, for ratting out to 30 or 40 yards, this thing's a laser beam. It's good. It does its job. Especially with this little thing, which is, if you guys haven't seen this, I'll probably add some footage at the end of the video. Just I basically zeroed this up with the pard on the back. So I zeroed the scope initially with the Hades, and then added the pard and had to just make a slight adjustment to get it to, you know, go bang in the centre of the bull at 30. But this is the pard monocular, and it just basically fits on the end of the collar at the back here, and uses your own scope, which is why I really like this, because I don't actually have to move the scope with this setup. I can have this set up perfectly. Little bit of neck ache, you know, when you're coming onto it with a monocular, but the scope itself is, you know, I can use that in the day, or I can add the monocular and go straight out at night, although I do have to make a slight adjustment to the zero when I change between the two, but that's just a few shots and a couple of clicks. Right, I'll tell you what I'll do next. I will put the video of shooting the group with the Hades. It's a 40-yard group. The rifle's zeroed for 30, but I shot the group at 40 because that's what I did with the Ultra, and I wanted to have a direct comparison between the two. I should really probably use Diablos, but I'm going to basically let the guy that I'm lending this to a friend, so he can use it to clear some rats out. And I'm going to give him Hades to use for his rats. So I'll show you I'll put the video up there, fast forward it so you don't get too bored, and then I'll show you the card that I shot. So, back in a minute. Right, so here we go. Yeah, it's cold. 40 yards, JSB Hades. Let's see how we do. Okay, lost count of how many shots I've done. I'm just looking at one. There's definitely a flyer. I pulled one. I don't think the one that's low is me, but yeah, I think that may be a flyer. But anyway, I'll have to have a look at the footage again. But just to point out that this rifle is zeroed for 30 yards, and that targets at 40, which is why it's absolutely nowhere near the ball. And also, it's an interesting example for those of you that are interested in this sort of thing. Exactly how much drop for a 2.2, roughly, you know, I think the can't remember what the Hades come in at, but they're around the 16 grain mark. You know, how much drop you get with a 2.2, the difference between a 30 yard zero and then pushing out to 40. I mean, if this is right, that is, I've got this set for 10 times zoom at the moment. So that's a whole mil dot, just on a mil dot, just slightly below the mil dot mark. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go and grab that target and have a quick look at it and come back and have a chat. Okay, so I've got two cards. This is the card I shot, and I did shoot it. I shot it a few days ago, actually, knowing that I was going to do this video. I thought I would do the when I was setting the scope up. I thought I'd do the shooting then. But anyway, so this was with JSBs at 40 yards. The JSB Hades at 40 yards. This shot here. There we go. That shot there is that was a flyer. I watched that pellet just drop down on the scope, and then this shot here that basically just widened the group out a little bit. That was me. I pulled that one. I can remember. As I basically just went through on the trigger and yanked it off to one side. So that's my thumb. So I reckon that's probably, what, that group there, it's about the size of, if you take that one out, it's about the size of a 5p piece. So that's not bad at 40 yards for a 2.2. And then you'll see, I'll put at the end of the video, I'll put the video footage from inside the pod. But when I was setting the pod up, that's basically the pod at 30 yards. That's another 10 shots. That's with the pod on the back. So, as I say, it's a laser beam. This thing's brilliant. Yeah, I'm incredibly happy with it for a ratting rifle. You know, brilliant. As I said, I bought this for $475 with the reg already done on it. I then paid about 120, 130 to do the tune and to have the reg, to do the tune and to have the shroud rebuilt and for the stripper. And yeah, for the Ratworks tune and a service. So I thought that was good value. So let's think, that's 475, we'll call it 25, so that's 5. So 600, let's call it 600 quid all in. So 600 quid all in. I've got a rifle that will do a 5p sized group at 40 yards with JSB Hades and with me behind the trigger. And you know, I think I probably, this rifle outshoots me. Most rifles outshoot me, actually, to be honest. I'm the weak link when it comes to this. Yeah, this rifle is, as I say, for what I wanted it for, 30 to 40 yards ratting in 2.2, this thing's perfect. And for 600 quid, I don't think you can do much better. I mean, let's face it, what's the cost of a new one of these? About $875, $895. Yeah, and compared to, say, something like a 100, Weihrauch 100, you know, I think the reliability is up there now. I've had the work done to it. I've had all the weak areas ironed out by Phil, plus which he guarantees his work, so if I have any problems I can take it back. You know, I've got a rifle now that is, in my opinion, as good as a 100, if not slightly better. You know, I think over and all that the R10, if you've ever shouldered an R10, it's probably personal choice. But I think one of the nice things about the R10 is the stock and the way it feels on point. It's a beautiful rifle to hold, and it's an absolute pleasure to shoot. So, and let's face it, that's one of the reasons I certainly buy these things, is for the enjoyment of whether it doesn't matter whether I'm out shooting for the pot or whether I'm just in the back garden plinking. It's the enjoyment of actually shooting these wonderful pieces of kit. So yeah, I think I couldn't recommend a good second-hand purchase of an R10 enough, especially if you can get it at a price where maybe you can chuck another 100, 200 quid at it to do the reg and have a service done, to bring it up to a really good standard. I mean, the R10's a good rifle anyway, but with just that little bit of extra TLC, it turns it from a good rifle to something that's a fantastic performer. Anyway, I'll add the footage from the scope cam from the PARD at the end of this. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I look forward to the next one that I do for you. It's either going to be the S200 or, well, I've got the S200 to do, I've got an HW80, and I've got my Huntsman. So the 200 is set up for HFT, the Huntsman I used for pigeons. We haven't got any rabbits around here, they all seem to have gone, so I mainly use that for pigeons. And the 80, I just use that as a back garden tin can blaster. It's a proper cannon. So, votes for which one? Anybody that has a specific preference, mention it in the comments below, and I will try and get that one done next. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any more questions, if there's anything you want to know about this rifle that I might have forgotten to say, please feel free to ask. And I look forward to doing the next video for you. In the meantime, I hope you all stay safe and stay healthy. All the best.